what Google has to offer. And now we're going to talk about are we ready? Does it make sense for you? And this is something that we put together at Business Intelligence 101 is our cloud readiness assessment. The idea is to really answer that question of how I can best get started and what makes sense for me. So the next slide, we'll talk about some of the business drivers that went into that, because the answer isn't the same for everybody. Google Apps is a great product, but that may or may not be where we start. So what we help companies do is put together a cloud strategy that's unique to their particular company. And these are the 6 factors that go into that process, right? So you really have to start with the top and talk about really, where the company's trying to go, where's their vision, their goals, and what are their particular success factors, and what might be inhibiting them from achieving those. And you want to really zero in on the biggest impact that the company's going to be able to have. So on top of the drivers is where you want to focus. You have to ask your questions about feasibility, both technical and organizational feasibility. Does the organization today have the infrastructure that will support a move to the cloud, right? Do they have access to high-speed internet, right? Do they have the support of management? Do they have the willingness to make those kinds of changes, right? What are the business processes? What are that need to be adjusted? What are the human skills that we're dealing with, right? So it's really, we look at the people and the willingness to change, as well as the technical infrastructure that we have in place. Is basically, do we have a facility, the feasibility to move forward? One major issue is compliance. We always have to understand what are your particularly industry vertical compliance issues that you're faced with, and depending on certain things, whether you're faced with different types of compliance regulations, there's some limitations as to where you can store data, and we have to take those into consideration. So based on looking at those 4 factors up above, then we start making the analysis that says, are you potentially a fit for a public cloud solution like Google Apps? Or do we need to look at a private cloud where maybe you're hosting that material on your content on a particular data center that's more tightly under your control? Or a lot of companies find there's a hybrid between the two. Other issues that we have to work through is uptime assurance. What kind of a business are you? Are you in an environment where your users can be down for a certain period of time? And if not, what do we have to build into that, especially if we're looking at a private cloud or a hybrid type of environment? What are we going to do to talk about uptime assurance? So we tried to gather all these things together and put together what we call a cloud readiness assessment. And it kind of started with the concept of kind of your credit score, right? The idea is the higher that your cloud readiness score is, the more likely that your organization is going to be able to benefit from the cloud. So we've had dozens, if not hundreds, of companies by this time who've gone through the assessment, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to go through this as well. And the range goes from a potential 0 to 1,000. I think the lowest we've seen so far was 320, with the highest of being 844, right? So let me talk to you a little bit about what that means. So let's take a closer look on the next slide, because it's not just a rating between 1 to 1,000, because there's really 2 factors. And so this slide we kind of took a little from the Gartner's Magic Quadrant, who many of you are familiar with, and we combined the ability to execute with the critical need. So back when we looked at those main business drivers, one of the key questions we asked is, do you have the infrastructure? Do you have the ability to move forward with a cloud strategy? If we were to move forward. And for 39% of the companies out there, the answer is actually no, they don't. And this is getting to be less and less as access to high-speed internet becomes more and more available, but there are still companies that either don't have the technical feasibility or they don't have the staff that'll support that kind of a move. The other, across the horizontal axis, is the need, right? Where we look at how well are your current infrastructure meeting your needs, right? And if you have an on-premise solution and it's completely meeting all your needs, it's working great, you're at the current version of it, maybe you've just made an investment there and it's going well, well, that's maybe not the place that we're going to start, right? And your needs for to make a move there aren't as critical as otherwise might be the case. So depending on, and we just, pretty simple is we take, 50% is where we put the line, and if 50% of the respondents are above or below or whatnot, we try to constantly adjusting to see where you fall in. But basically, you're going to fall into one different quadrants. Those folks who have the need and they have the ability to execute, they're the folks that are going to make the most sense to make the move right away. They're going to be the leaders, all right? And we're seeing a lot of that. But a lot of companies also kind of fit into this visionary category where they maybe don't have that compelling, urgent need to make a move right now, but they know that the cloud offers them the flexibility, it offers them the option to adjust to the future that they don't really know what's coming down the pike. And those are the visionaries, which if they do decide to move forward with the cloud, they know that it's not a need that's driven, it's more of a vision to move forward with, right? So those in the bottom right, maybe they have the need, but they don't have the infrastructure. Those are the folks that are in the toughest position, right? Because they need to make the move, but they either don't have the support or they don't have the infrastructure to make that happen, and we call those powerless. The bottom left-hand corner talks to those that maybe don't have the need and they don't have the ability to execute, so they're kind of unconcerned at this point in time. Okay, so really you can ask yourself, where do I fit in this? You may have a gut assessment, but I invite you to write down that link below, bi101.com/cloud-readiness, and you can walk through that, and we'll send you a report back that shows how you wind up, right? So that's a good plan for you to determine, how do I get started? Okay, so that's what I had prepared. I'm going to turn it back over to Cheryl, and she can wrap up with any